True story. I walk in this morning feeling great, excited to be here, and one of my colleagues, who shall remain nameless, says, "You look tired." It's a real confidence booster as you start the day. But here's the reality. I put my son to bed last night. It's one of my favorite things to do in the world. And I went rock climbing down in the climbing gym in Franklin Square. Clear my head, get myself ready for today. And I climbed great. Climbed the hardest route I've ever climbed in my entire life. Came home feeling phenomenal and ready. I made the mistake of turning on the TV before going upstairs and was instantly reminded of just the bitter, partisan atmosphere that we find ourselves in Washington. And it's depressing, and it's disappointing. And it was a reminder for me of the very reason I left Washington, D.C. and moved back to upstate New York. In the last time we went through this, where people put their partisan hats on and they focus on their ideology as opposed to their shared interests. And the God's honest truth is I did lose sleep over it last night. Shouldn't be happening. But I woke up this morning and I walked my dog in crisp, cool, sunny, snowy Syracuse. And I got in my truck and I drove here and I realized I get to come to work today with 750 people, business leaders, community activists, legislators, who want to put that aside and want to work together to do things that make a meaningful impact on people's lives right here in our community. And I will tell you that while I may have lost sleep last night, I have never been more optimistic or more hopeful or more grateful to be able to stand in front of you today and talk about the future of our region. I do want to say thank you to Alan Naples, to Meredith and our friends at St. Joseph's Health. The support that you all provide to us in our work in this community is astronomical. We couldn't do this without you. To all of our members and partners who've joined us today, thank you so much for being here, for your support. It is astounding how generous and involved this business community is, and it makes a huge difference in our ability to be successful. And to the incredible staff at CenterState CEO, I just want to say thank you personally in front of all these people. You all are the best colleagues that anyone could ever ask for. I appreciate all your hard work. As we begin a new year and a new decade, we do so with confidence that our regional economy is headed in the right direction. And it's refreshing to hear what I think might be Gary's most optimistic and upbeat outlook, which gives us great reason to look at our region's economic position with optimism. Gary forecasts that the strength of the overall national economy will continue through 2020. That's good news because it fuels our growth here. Likewise, the region's growth of the past 3 years is anticipated to continue, with real job growth strong at about 1%. Now, job growth has also accelerated over the past year, closing the gap as compared to the national average, which supports a near record low unemployment. Now, these statistics and other indicators, underscored by our own research in the economic forecast, tell a new story of economic advancement for this region. Taking a closer look at job growth, we are seeing some of the best job growth statistics in decades, highlighting your role, the private sector's role, in driving this region's economic resurgence. And according to the New York State Department of Labor, in every month of 2019, the Syracuse MSA grew jobs over the previous year at a rate of more than 2%. That's a higher rate than New York State as a whole, and wait for this, nearly 3 times the rate of job growth in the combined regions of Albany, Rochester, and Buffalo, typically known as our peer communities. 3.5 times faster. Wages, a very good sign, were also up 4% in Syracuse from November 18 to November 2019. And this progress is also driving another metric of success, one that we have talked about for decades, population growth. While Gary pointed out, rightfully so, that over a 13-year period, the larger region lost population, in the city of Syracuse, we're seeing a different trend. In fact, Syracuse is an outlier over a 5-year period, as it saw a 5.1% jump in its population of 25 to 34-year-olds, according to census estimates. And according to the American Community Survey data from 2010 to 2018, there was 12.8% growth in millennials in Onondaga County, with the largest actual gain in the city of Syracuse, with an increase of 9.3%. In fact, Syracuse's gain in millennials accounted for 28% of the gain in millennials in Onondaga County. Now, for the last decade or more, we've heard over and over about the brain drain, how our young people were not staying, how they were fleeing to other communities, how we failed to hold on to our student population. Yet today's reality is starkly different. We're seeing an increase in the number of young people staying in Syracuse following college, and more people of that age who are choosing to come here and live here to work in this vibrant urban center and in this vibrant community. This growth in Syracuse serves as an important reminder that a vibrant city is critical to our region's strength. And we know that a vibrant city requires opportunity for all, not just for a few, which is why, as we examine our community's unacceptable rates of poverty and economic segregation, there is reason to be hopeful that the critical problem is, at a minimum, no longer getting worse and may, in fact, be starting to turn the corner. Though I would say at a rate that still demands our continued, if not increased, vigilance. Since 2012, Black and African American poverty has gone down more than 3%. That's on par with Buffalo and an improvement over cities like Rochester, which saw an increase in its poverty rate, and Detroit, which was unchanged. For Hispanics and Latinos, poverty went down more than 11%, outpacing Rochester, Buffalo, and Detroit. And further, the Brookings Metro Monitor also reported significant improvements in measurements of inclusion, employment rates, and median earnings increased for people of color, while median earnings gaps and poverty rates decreased. Now, while the overall rate of poverty remains far too high, we are, for the first time in a long time, beginning to see the numbers move in the right direction. While we must not make the mistake of masking the true human toll of racial and socioeconomic equality in marginal statistical improvement, we must also not fail to acknowledge even slight progress, so as to reinforce the collaborations and partnerships that have rightly formed to focus our community's attention and resources on this critically important need. Now, all of these statistics of GDP and job growth, of low unemployment, of population growth, and more, they create a foundation of a new and emerging narrative for this community, a more positive outlook than in years past, and one that is further reflected in the economic forecast report you have in front of you. In that report, you'll note that 74% of our forecasters say the past year was either strong or very strong. This year, that optimism increases, with 76% who anticipate a very strong to strong year ahead. 49% expect to make capital investments in the coming year. 70% expect sales and revenue to expand in 2020. 65% of you say you'll be hiring in the next 12 months. But beyond the statistical evaluation of our regional economy is a feeling that something is different now. That the trajectory we are on is the right one, a better one, and that our community is on a path to realizing its full economic potential. For too many years, our forecasters used words like slow, cautious, uncertain, challenging, and stagnant to describe our regional economy. So it was especially notable to our team this year when the forecasters from the business community instead used words like vibrant, evolving, growing, progress, strong, robust, and diverse to describe the economy and their outlook for the year. Those are your words. And it's a sentiment that is echoed time and time again in meetings with our members and partners. It's optimism born from seeing transformative projects take shape in our community and our elected leaders aligned in their objectives. It's a direct reflection of your work and our collective efforts to focus and execute on economic strategies rooted in data and best practices. Now, take, for example, our innovation ecosystem, 15 years ago, the Tech Garden first opened. And at the time, the region ranked dead last by most measures for supporting entrepreneurs. But the business community and local leaders saw beyond that challenge and the opportunity to align resources and investments to create what's now a robust ecosystem, able to support companies at all stages of their growth cycle. An ecosystem that has grown to the point where the Tech Garden is in need of a major expansion to meet the demand of entrepreneurs in the pipeline who are looking for acceleration space, resources, and programming. This year, we will see a Tech Garden grow upwards, coming out literally of the roof of the parking garage, 2 floors, adding 46,000 square feet of incubation and acceleration space to what is already one of the most robust and largest accelerators in upstate New York. And just yesterday, one of our most visible programs, Genius New York, welcomed its 4th round of participants. Those 5 companies, which come from all over the world, are now here in Syracuse, part of our family, ready to grow their businesses in our backyard. These companies join the more than 15 Genius New York participants from the competition's first 3 rounds that are still here, growing and scaling their business with support from the Tech Garden and from all of you. And it isn't just our startup businesses succeeding. From our larger employers to anchor institutions investing in their growth, to our small businesses who are the backbone of our economy, including the 95 new businesses we celebrated last fall for opening their doors, to the ongoing surge in downtown and University Hill redevelopment, our business community is engaged in our strategic vision and directly contributing to our economic progress. A part of our strategy has been to be thoughtful about how and where we targeted investments, particularly in our urban centers, to accelerate our impact. We can all see the incredible transformation that's happened across downtown. Now we're looking for new opportunities to target investments in areas of the city that have historically lagged behind. In Syracuse's Southeast Gateway, we can advance the development that generates community wealth and prosperity and supports investments that are being made by JMA and Salina First and many others. And by advancing strategies that align with targeted industries like unmanned systems, we have seen the emergence of an entire new sector for our economy. It's been 8 years since we helped form New Air to advance the safe integration of drones in the national airspace and unlock the economic potential of that commercial use. 8 years since we believed that it was possible to build on our globally competitive electronic digital sensor technology, industry base, led by businesses like Saab and SRC and Lockheed Martin, to create an environment not only for those companies to be successful, but to attract new opportunities to this region. To date, we've seen nearly $848 million in private investment in the UAS industry here in our region, more than 2,000 jobs, and nearly 30 companies that are growing here in Central New York. Through the launch of the region's first Beyond Visual Line of Sight corridor and the recently proposed small UAS testing facility at Griffiths International Airport, we hold world-class capabilities that will only accelerate our leadership position in this important industry. Now, aligning strategies and investments to key industries isn't exclusive to the unmanned systems sector. We're seeing similar opportunities when it comes to warehousing and logistics, with sites in Clay and DeWitt now being developed for large-scale operations. Just 5 years ago, our organization was one of the most vocal advocates for investments to support the growth of this sector because the data told us unequivocally of the opportunity for our region. And today, we're proud to work alongside County Executive Ryan McMahon and others to bring these important projects online, bringing with them hundreds, actually thousands, of good-paying jobs with benefits and career ladders that are accessible to people in our community who need them the most. Now, underlining all of this is one of the most important competitive advantages that we have above our peers in upstate New York. Business, civic, and elected leaders who are collaborating every day and actively working towards a common vision. It cannot be underestimated or overestimated how important that is to our trajectory and to our success. These are the elements that have taken this region from strategy to reality, from slow and steady to vibrant and strong. And while we are undeniably in the midst of a strong growth cycle, the work before us is not done. We must use this momentum to speed our progress and the challenges we collectively face. Because yes, while the data points to some progress when it comes to poverty, specifically among minority populations, just a few blocks from here, there are still far too many people worried about how they're going to pay their bills and put food on the table this week. And even though our forecasters shared unparalleled positivity for the year ahead, they too are mindful of the potential headwinds and pressure points that Gary spoke to. Their biggest concern, talent. Ranked again as the most significant pressure point employers face in the year ahead, more than double any other pressure or challenge that they face. Low unemployment rates, coupled with the retirement of older employees who often have significant experience and historical knowledge of a company or organization, mean opportunities for growth aren't always realized. We know employers are struggling to find, attract, and retain qualified employees. In fact, there are more than 3,100 jobs at nearly 230 companies available right now in Central New York. And the shrinking labor pool that Gary Keith pointed out has the potential to stunt the growth of our economic resurgence, which is why we've already begun to work towards solutions to address our region's significant talent needs. In October, many of you will recall, we launched the Good Life CNY in partnership with Advanced Media New York. Targeted marketing efforts to drive traffic to this new quality of life and job portal site for our region is already yielding results. More than 6,000 hits already in the first 3 weeks of January alone, with the highest number of visits coming from Washington, D.C., New York City, Philadelphia, Columbus, and Canton, Ohio, and Boston. More than 6,000 users, as I said, have visited goodlifecny.com, and more than 1,600 have specifically clicked on the Talent Connect job board. There, visitors can review the 3,146 jobs available across key industries. And additionally, nearly 40 job seekers have joined the Talent Network with a variety of skills ranging from entry-level to 15 years of experience. And as we continue to develop strategies to attract and address workforce needs, we celebrate the news that Governor Cuomo will establish the state's first regional science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, or STEAM high school in Syracuse, as well as a working training center that will offer high school equivalency degrees, advanced technical certification, and college degrees. This incredible $71 million investment to renovate Central Tech High School into a multi-purpose complex builds on Mayor Walsh and County Executive Ryan McMahon's vision to educate and train the children and workforce of today for the jobs of the future. Borrowing from the work train model of workforce development, last week, Mayor Walsh announced Syracuse Build, an important initiative designed to support Syracuse's construction boom by connecting capable job seekers from Syracuse's historically marginalized communities with career pathways. The continued development in the urban core, the University Hill, the impending construction of a replacement to the existing 81, and implementation of Syracuse Surge and Blueprint 15 will inevitably result in numerous opportunities for diverse city residents in construction-related fields. Now, to capitalize on this opportunity, the City of Syracuse convened anchor partners like Syracuse University, Onondaga County, and more. And with the support of National Fund for Workforce Solutions grant funded by the Ballmer Group, CenterState CEO has been serving in an advisory role on the project, supporting the design, incubation of a new approach that breaks down silos and holistically addresses the needs of employers and job seekers. The result of this work is a partnership that connects local government, anchor institutions, and construction firms to a coordinated network of community, training, and workforce partners with a goal of filling 100 jobs by the end of 2020. And so as we embark on a new decade, this is the economic landscape in which we find ourselves. Let's take a moment to celebrate our collective progress. We have, in fact, come a very long way. But then let us quickly turn our focus to the position we want our region to be in when we begin 2030. Because today's progress can continue. It can accelerate. And my economic forecast is that we will look back on this moment as the beginning of our turning point. As you leave here today, please take this message of success and help us amplify it. Tell your neighbors, your colleagues, your friends, and family that Syracuse and Central New York of today is strong, progressing, and yes, vibrant. Because the lesson of the past decade is clear. There is no obstacle so difficult as to resist our collective efforts. Thank you all so much for joining us today. This concludes our program. Don't forget to take your copy of the 2020 Economic Forecast on your way out. Have a great day.